All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to day 2 of Raisin in the Sun. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? I was just going through your responses, your first impressions. Those of you who've done it already, about most everybody in second period had done it, and about a quarter of you in third period had done it already. Thank you. I really liked your feedback. Like, I didn't know there were apartments that didn't have bathrooms, to Cameron said the sounds pretty dull and unexciting at the very beginning, and I get that too. Tyler's gonna be reading the part of Travis today, and I just read Bennett's first take on Walter, which I really liked. I want to share it. Well, he said, I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm not quoting directly, that Walter seems like he's poor but proud, but very hopeful. And I like that description of Walter. He is poor, and he is a proud man, and he is hopeful of trying to find a better life for himself and for his family. Um, Now, he may not go about it the right way. Um, Mr. Kingsley said he reminds me of someone who's been a schemer for money, um, and that's not far off, right? He's not, he's not trying to steal anybody's money. Well, I'll just stop talking. You'll see. All right, but yeah, he does want to change his circumstances, and this check that's coming, he hopes is the way to do it by starting a liquor store. Now, you can already tell that Mama's not up with the idea of a liquor store, right? Because he says, "Hey, Ruth, you talk to Mama. Just sit casually by, when you're drinking your Diet Pepsi and your coffee and your, Mama, I was thinking about that plan that Walter had, like it's not very important or anything. About that plan Walter had about opening a liquor store. That might do him some good. We should do that. So he's trying to get his wife to convince his mom to go along with the liquor store. So what does that tell you? Think about that. That he listens to his mom? Okay, maybe. Whose money is it? Whose money might be coming in this check? Hmm. Okay. All right. So we're going to start where we left off yesterday, which is page 17 of your book, where Walter says, one group of men tied to a race of women with small minds. Some other folks said they didn't like the way Walter talked to his wife, and I agree with you there. It was kind of mean to say, man, baby, you look young just there for a minute. I was gone now. You look like yourself again. Right? Okay. It's Tuesday here. It's about 2:15 in the afternoon, and it is cold. What is going on with April weather? March is supposed to be cold. April's supposed to be kind of getting us back to where we get out. Our family starts every day with a walk. We have school all day here, and by school I mean there's a walk from 8 to 9. No, from 9 to 10. We don't make them get up early. From 9 to 10, there's a outside activity. It could be a walk. It could be working out. Although the kids have been getting up at 7 to work out before we get up and go out doing our walk, or yard work or something like that outside. Getting the blood flowing, getting the energy going, getting started for the day. And then from 9 to 10, the little ones do their academic work, and then they have creative time from 10 to 11. No, 10 to 11 is academic work. 11 to 12 is creative time. Then there's lunch. Then there's quiet reading time and quiet time. And then there's recess. And then there's the quiet reading time. Then there's an hour and a half of sitting down and doing academics again. That's work from their teachers and us helping them. There's time for science. And then there's gross motor skills. And there's fine motor skill time and all this. So we got a whole day built in, right? Now, Brandon sits on the bed and does work all day long. I think you're all getting too much work. My opinion is you're all getting too much work. If what you're getting is the same as what Miranda's getting, I think you're getting overloaded in certain subjects. You know, I know I'm preaching to the choir, and no one's going to listen to me anyway, but that's just my thought. But it's cold. I want to get up in the mornings and go for a walk, and it be warm. Okay. Anyway, all right. So back to page 17. His sister Beneatha enters. She is about 20, as slim and intense as her brother. She is not as pretty as her sister-in-law, but her lean, almost intellectual face has a handsomeness of its own. She wears a bright red flannel nightie, and her thick hair stands wildly about her head. Her speech is a mixture of many things. It is different from the rest of the families insofar as education has permeated her sense of English. and perhaps the Midwest rather than the South has finally at last won out in her inflection, but not altogether, because all over it is a soft, slurred, and transformed use of vowels that is a decided influence of the South Side. She passes through the room without looking at either Ruth or Walter and goes to the outside door and looks a little blindly out to the bathroom. She sees it has been lost to the Johnsons. She closes the door with a sleepy vengeance and crosses to the table and sits down a little defeated. The other family got there before she did. Benita, I'm going to start timing those people. You should get up earlier. Her face in her hands, she is still fighting the urge to go back to bed. Really? Would you suggest dawn? Where's the paper? Pushing the paper across the table to her as she studies her almost clinically as though he has never seen her before. You a horrible looking chick at this hour. Good morning, everybody. How is school coming? Lovely, lovely. And you know, biology is the greatest. I dissected something that looked just like you yesterday. So you'll see that Benita and Walter have this sibling rivalry thing going on, this back and forth, always insulting each other. They love each other. They're probably tired of living together, okay? Imagine growing up and living in the same house with your mom in the same small apartment with your mama that you grew up in, and now your wife lives there, your sister still lives there, your kid lives there, and you're all in this one apartment. You don't get to have any freedom. You don't have any independence. No, you don't get to have your own space. I know Maddie down the hall is itching to get out of here and get her own apartment, if nothing else, than to get away from me. you know. Um, um, but the family is on top of each other all the time. Right? We know Benita's going to school for what we don't know yet, and they have this back and forth thing. Love each other, but probably tired of living with each other and being on top of each other. I just wonder if you've made up your mind and everything. And what did I answer yesterday morning and the day before that? Don't be so nasty, Benny. And the day before that and the day before that. I'm interested in you. Something wrong with that? Ain't many girls who decide to be a doctor. Have we figured out yet just exactly how much medical school is going to cost? Walter Lee, why don't you leave that girl alone and get out of here to work? And get out of here to work, sorry. Benita exits to the bathroom and bangs on the door. Come on out of there, please. You know the check is coming tomorrow. That money belongs to Mama, Walter, and it's for her to decide how she wants to use it. I don't care if she wants to buy a house or a rocket ship or just nail it up somewhere and look at it. It's hers, not ours. Hers. Now, ain't that fine? You just got your mother's interest at heart, ain't you, girl? You're such a nice girl. But if Mama got that money, she could always take a few thousand and help you through school, too, can't she? I've never asked anyone around here to do anything for me. No. And the line between asking and just accepting when the time comes is big and wide, ain't it? What do you want from me, brother? That I quit school and just drop dead? Which? I don't want nothing but for you to stop acting holy around here. Me and Ruth done made some sacrifices for you. Why can't you do something for the family? Walter, don't be dragging me in it, says Ruth. You are in it. Don't you get up and go to work in somebody's kitchen for the last 3 years to help put clothes on her back? Oh, Walter, that's not fair. It ain't that nobody expects you to get on your knees and say, thank you, brother, thank you, Ruth, thank you, Mama, and thank you, Travis, for wearing the same pair of shoes for 2 semesters. Benita drops to her knees. Well, I do, all right. Thank everybody, and forgive me for ever wanting to be anything at all. Forgive me. Please stop it. Your mom will hear you. Who the hell told you you had to be a doctor? If you're so crazy about messing around with sick people, then go be a nurse like other women, or just get married and be quiet. Well, you finally got it said. It took you 3 years, but you finally got it said. Walter, give up. Leave me alone. It's Mama's money. He was my father, too. Oh, there's a clue, right? Okay, first of all, we have this interplay between Walter and Benita. And Benita's going to medical school to be a doctor. And Walter thinks she should be a nurse. She's a woman. It's 1950s. She should be a nurse, not a doctor. Women don't become doctors. He's a little behind, you know. I'd say he's a man of his times, not as an excuse, mind you. It's wrong. It is wrong to hold people down. That's like saying the white people are men of their times, and so it's okay to oppress black people. Not saying that at all. I'm saying his thoughts are backwards, and they're backwards because of his upbringing probably, and because of, well, I don't want to say upbringing because that puts the blame on Mama and his dad, but Walter is Walter. It's wrong. Let me just leave it at that. It's wrong. But he says, you know, go be a nurse or just get married like other women. And Benita's like, yeah, you finally got, it took you 3 years to say it, but you finally got it out that I should just quit school, go marry someone and be a woman, a stay-at-home mom who takes care of the family. And she says, leave me alone, it's mama's money. Now his point is that maybe she doesn't ask for things, but she surely accepts them, right? Maybe she doesn't ask Ruth to go out and work in someone's kitchen and make money so she can eat, but she doesn't say anything about it. Maybe she doesn't ask for mama's help, but when she gets it, she doesn't say anything about it, right? And then we have the big clue. She goes, that's mama's money. And he goes, it was my father too. So what does that tell us? Where does this money come? He was my father too, meaning he's not anymore, which must mean he's, someone in the back, raise your hand. Mary Grace, dead. Yes, dead. So if he's dead, Mary Grace, where's the money coming from? Yep, life insurance check. So there's a check coming, a life insurance policy check, a life insurance policy check coming to the family. It's supposed to come on Saturday for money to pay off the policy of the father who has died. And Walter wants that money to start a liquor store. And Benita and Ruth both say it's mama's money. And Benita, while she won't say it, surely is hoping that some of the money is going to help her get through medical school so she can become a doctor, right? So the financial problems that some of you talked about in your first impressions, the financial problems causes people to be stressed out anyway, right? So now here's Walter. Let's go back to Bennett's thing. Here's Walter, who's poor and proud and hopeful. Here comes this money. Maybe he can get himself out of the situation. Right? Okay. He was my father too. I screamed it, and now I've lost it. Oh, so what? He was mine too, and Travis's grandfather. But the insurance money belongs to Mama. Picking on me is not going to make her give it to you to invest in any liquor stores. And I, for one, say, God bless Mama for that. See? Do you hear? Did you hear? Honey, please go to work. Nobody in this house is ever going to understand me. Because you're a nut, says her sister. Who's a nut? You. You're a nut. Thee is mad, boy. Looking at his wife and his sister from the door very sadly. The world's most backward race of people, and that's a fact. Benita turns in a chair. And then there are all those prophets who would lead us out of the wilderness. Walter slams out of the house. Into the swamps. Benny, why you always got to be picking on your brother? Can't you be a little sweeter sometimes? I need some, and Walter comes back in. I need some money for car fare. Don't you hate that when you got this really dramatic exit and you leave and you slam the door and you're out? And then you're like, need money for car fare. Can you give me some money? And why does he need money for car fare? Right? Ruth looks at him and then warms teasing. 50 cents? She goes right back and gets money. Here, take a taxi. Right? Because why does he need money? Because he gave it to Travis when he was trying to be this big shot dad. He's like, here, Travis, here's 50 more. Take a taxi cab to work. So he leaves and goes back. Well, money. I need money for taxi cab. Sorry. Right. So, again, I don't want to excuse Walter for his behavior, but he does want to make something. Imagine not being able to provide for your family the way you want to. You love these people. You want to take care of them, and you can't. You don't have any money. You feel like every time you try, you get knocked down again. Every time you dream, it gets deferred again and again and again and again. So he's not that the liquor store is the right thing to do, but at least he's trying. He wants to try to do something. And Benita, for all her insight, should be more understanding, should be more empathetic to her brother. And we'll see this as the play goes on. And understand his position, understand what he's feeling, understand that he wants to make something of his life, and he wants to take care of his family, and he wants to rise out of the slums and out of the poor neighborhoods and out of the ghettos that we've set up for our poor communities. And oftentimes, too many times, the poor communities in our world, in our country, are those people of color. Right? And we say, here's where you can live, and here's what you can afford, and you really can't even afford that. And don't try to make something yourself because they're going to beat you down if you do. Right? So she could be more understanding. Walter exits. Mama enters. She is a woman in her early 60s, full-bodied and strong. My nose is itching. She is one of those women of a certain grace and beauty who wear it so unobtrusively that it takes a while to notice. Her dark brown face is surrounded by the total whiteness of her hair, and being a woman who has adjusted to many things in life and overcome many more, her face is full of strength. She has, we can see, wit and faith of a kind that keep her eyes lit and full of interest and expectancy. She is, in a word, a beautiful woman. Her bearing is perhaps most like the noble bearing of the women of the heroes of Southwest Africa, rather as if she imagines that as she walks she still bears a basket or a vessel upon her head. Her speech, on the other hand, is as careless as her carriage is precise. She is inclined to slur everything, but her voice is perhaps not so much quiet as simply soft. Who that round here slamming doors at this hour? She crosses through the room, goes to the window, opens it, and brings in a feeble little plant growing doggedly in a small pot on the windowsill. One more time. Growing doggedly in a small pot on the windowsill. She feels the dirt and puts it back out. Growing doggedly. It perseveres. Even through the hardest circumstances, that plant keeps on trying to grow. You can see the metaphor, right? You see the metaphor already with the plant? How it represents the family and persevering through hard times and trying to continue to grow and live and find life in life extinguishing circumstances. The plant has no light. It gets so little and it's trying to survive. They have no light, no money, no hope, just sadness and despair, and they're trying to survive. And Mama is a woman that's trying to get them through this. She is a strong woman. That was Walter Lee. He and Benny was at it again. My children and they tempers. Lord, if this little old plant don't get more sun than it's been getting, it ain't never going to see spring again. What's the matter with you this morning, Ruth? You looks right peaked. You aiming to iron all them things? Leave some for me. I'll get to them this afternoon. Benny, honey, it's too drafty for you to be sitting around half dressed. Where's your robe? In the cleaners. Well, go get mine and put it on. I'm not cold, Mama, honest. I know, but you so thin. Mama, I'm not cold. Seeing the make-down bed as Travis has left it. Lord have mercy. Look at that poor bed. Bless his heart. He tries, don't he? She moves to the bed and Travis is sloppily made up and starts fixing it. No, he don't have to try at all because he knows you're going to come along behind him and fix everything. That's just how come he don't know how to do nothing right now. You just spoiled that boy so. Well, he's a little boy. He ain't supposed to know about housekeeping. My baby, that's what he is. What you fix for his breakfast this morning? I feed my son, Lena. I ain't meddling. I just noticed all last week he had cold cereal, and when he starts getting this chilly in the fall, a child ought to have some hot grits or something when he goes out in the cold. I love me some grits with some butter on them. Nothing finer than some hot grits and butter. That's just my opinion. I gave him hot oats. Is that all right? I ain't meddling. Put a lot of nice butter on it. Ruth shoots her angry look and does not reply. He likes lots of butter. Lena. Okay, so what do you see right away about Mama? Okay, she's a strong woman. I told you that. She runs that household, and she likes to control everything, right? I mean, these are her children. She's been taking care of them since they were little, right? They're adults now, and usually when you're an adult, your relationship with your parent changes. That might be hard to think right now, right? I'm going to call my parent and talk to him like a equal, like we're friends, and not parent-daughter, parent-son. It'll happen. Eventually, it'll happen. Most likely. Okay. So usually the relationship changes, but they still live in the house, right? And it's hard when you live in that house for that relationship to change. And Mama, she's been mamaing her whole life. So she just keeps right on mamaing, making sure that Travis gets hot food to eat and making sure they, beneath you look kind of cold, you've been looking thin, go put a robe on, she's just being mama, right? But again, she says, Ruth, what's wrong with you? You look right peaked this morning. Everyone's asking Ruth what's wrong with her. Something going on with Ruth, right? Lena. Mama's inclined to wander conversationally sometimes. What was you and your brother fussing about this morning? It's not important, Mama. She gets up and goes to look out at the bathroom, which is apparently free, and she picks up her towels and rushes out. That's beneath her. What was they fighting about? Now you know as well as I do. Brother still worried himself sick about that money? You know he is. You had breakfast? Some coffee. Girl, you better start eating and looking after yourself better. You're almost thin as Travis. Lena. Uh-huh. What are you gonna do with it? Now don't you start, child. It's too early in the morning to be talking about money. It ain't Christian. It's just that he got his heart set on that store. You mean that liquor store that Willie Harris wants him to invest in? Yes. We ain't no business people, Ruth. We just plain working folks. Ain't nobody business people till they go into business. Walter Lee say black people ain't never going to start getting ahead till they start gambling on some different kinds of things in the world, investment things. What's up, Mary Beth?
Now you're doing a Hamlet video?
No, Raisin in the Sun video. These are Miranda's friends.
Hi,
I'm in
Miranda.
the middle. What's up, baby?
Can I have
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, Miranda.
No. Oh, yeah. Miranda will be seeing this. All right.
Miranda, wait.
Okay. So we see what. Oh, Ruth. Even though she doesn't want Walter to go to the liquor store, even though she's tired of talking about it, she still talks to Lena about it, right? She still talks to Mom. What about that store? He's got his heart set on it, you know? And she says, we ain't business folks, business people. What done got into you, girl? Walter Lee done finally sold you on investing? No, Mama. Something's happening between Walter and me. I don't know what it is, but he needs something. Something I can't give him anymore. He needs this chance, Lena. But liquor, honey? Well, like Walter says, I expect people are going to always be drinking themselves some liquor. Well, whether they drinks it or not ain't none of my business. But whether I go into business selling it to them is. And I don't want that on my ledger this late in life. Stopping suddenly and staring at her daughter-in-law. Ruth Younger, what's the matter with you today? You look like you could fall over right there. She says, I don't want that on my ledger, meaning I don't want that on my soul this late in life before I go up to heaven to be judged. And she looks at Ruth. You look like you're about to faint, pass out. What's going on with you today, Ruth? I'm tired. Then you better stay home from work today. I can't stay home. She'd be calling up the agency and screaming at them. My girl didn't come in today. Send me somebody. My girl didn't come in. Oh, she just have a fit. Well, let her have it. I'll just call her up and say you got the flu. Why the flu? Because it sounds respectable to them. Something white people get too. They know about the flu. Otherwise, they think you've been cut up or something when you tell them you're sick. I got to go in. We need the money. Somebody would have thought my children done all but starved at the way they talk about money here late. Child, we got a great big old check coming tomorrow. Now that's your money. It ain't got nothing to do with me. We all feel like that. Walter and Benny and me, even Travis. $10,000. Sure is wonderful. $10,000. You know what you should do, Miss Lena? You should take yourself a trip somewhere, to Europe or South America or someplace. Oh, child. I'm serious. Just pack up and leave. Go on away and enjoy yourself some. Forget about the family and have yourself a ball for once in your life. You sound like I'm just about ready to die. Who'd go with me? What I look like wandering around Europe all by myself? Shoot, these are here rich white women do it all the time. They don't think nothing of packing up their suitcases and piling on one of them big steamships and swoosh, they gone, child. Something always told me I wasn't no rich white woman. Well, what are you going to do with it then? I ain't rightly decided, thinking. She speaks now with emphasis. Some of it got to be put away from beneath in her schooling, and ain't nothing going to touch that part of it. Nothing. She waits several seconds trying to make up her mind about something and looks at Ruth a little tentatively before going on. I'm thinking that we maybe could meet the notes on a little old two-story somewhere with a yard where Travis could play in the summertime. We'll use part of the insurance for a down payment, and everybody kind of pitch in. I could maybe take on a little day work again, a few days a week. Ruth, studying her mother-in-law furtively and concentrating on her ironing, anxious to encourage without seeming to. Well, Lord knows we put enough rent to this here rat trap to pay for 4 houses by now. Mama looking up at the words rat trap and then looking around and leaning back and sighing in a suddenly reflective mood. Hey, Jason. Stop.
Okay.
Rat trap. Yes, that's all it is. I remember just as well the day me and Big Walter moved in here. Hadn't been married but 2 weeks and wasn't planning on living here no more than a year. She shakes her head at the dissolved dream. We was going to set away. Little by little, don't you know, and buy a little place out in Morgan Park. We'd even picked out the house. Looks right dumpy today, but Lord, child, you should know all the dreams I had about buying that house and fixing it up and making me a little garden in the back. And none of it happen. Yes, life can be a barrel of disappointment sometimes. Honey, Big Walt will come in here some nights back then and slump down on that couch there and just look at that rug and look at me and look at the rug and then, okay, I love you too, honey. This is an important part. Honey, Big Walter would come in here some nights back then and slump down on that couch there and just look at the rug and look at me and look at that rug and then back at me. And I know he was down then, really down. After a second, very long and thoughtful pause, she's seeing back the times that only she can see. And then, Lord, when I lost that baby, little Claude, I almost thought I was going to lose Big Walter too. Love you, Jason. Oh, that man grieved himself. He was one man to love his children. Ain't nothing can tear you like losing your baby. I guess that's how come that man finally worked himself to death like he done. Like he was fighting his own war with this here world that took his baby from him. Love you, man, Bear. He sure was a fine man, all right. I always liked Mr. Younger. Crazy about his children. God knows there was plenty wrong with Walter Younger. Hard-headed, mean, kind of wild with women. Plenty wrong with him. But he sure loved his children. Always wanted them to have something, be something. That's where brother gets all these notions, I reckon. Big Walter used to say he'd get right in his eyes sometimes, lean his head back with the water standing in his eyes and say, seemed like God didn't see fit to give the black man nothing but dreams, but he did give his children to make them dreams seem worthwhile. He could talk like that, don't you know? Yes, he sure could. He was a good man, Mr. Younger. Yes, a fine man. Just couldn't ever catch up with his dreams, that's all. All right, so we get a little bit about Lena's husband, Walter's dad, who had these big dreams, right? He too was stuck. He too was being held down. He too wanted something better for his family. They'd been married for a couple of weeks, bought this apartment that Ruth just called a rat trap that Mama's lived in her whole adult life, right? And says, we weren't going to stay here, and we were just going to stay here for a couple of weeks. We were going to put money away by little. We'd already picked out a house we were going to move into down in Morgan Park. It's a right dumpy house now you think about it, but it was a nice house back then, and we were going to have a family, a house for our family, and we were going to grow, and we had all these dreams. So what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? We talked about that with Walter. Mama's had this dream since, for, let's see, she's 60 something, at least 40 years, right? She's had this dream. And now maybe it can be realized. She says, I got $10,000. $10,000. Let's check this. Hey, Google, what's the equivalent in today's money of $10,000 in 1950?
On the website in 2013dollars.com, they say, in other words, $10,000 in 1950 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $107,101.66 in 2020, a difference of $97,101.66 over 70 years.
So that's over $100,000 now, right? That $10,000 is equivalent to getting a $100,000 check right now. And she says, what are we going to do with it? And she says, someone's got to go away from medical school for Benita. Ain't nobody touching that part of it. She's going to be a doctor. My girl's going to grow and be a doctor. The rest of it, maybe she says, maybe we could, get a note, get a mortgage. Maybe we could buy a house, put a down payment on a house. And then if everybody worked, everybody pitched in, and she says, I'll even go back to work a couple of days a week, and we can pay the mortgage. We can move out of this rat trap, which isn't a rat trap. Right? It was her home. It was a loving home. It was where they raised their family. The screen just went dark. I wonder if my computer's about to die. So let me finish real fast. All right.
The screen went dark.
Or I don't know if we can get there or not. Let me try real fast. Okay, 28:32. You know what? How about before Benita comes in, we can stop there. All right. Let's just stop right there. I'll mark it down. Where's my pencil? That was day 2 because I think my computer's about to die here. All right. So day 2, Marin, Grace. Man, my 7-year-old daughter burping like a trucker. Okay. All right. Come here, you two. Let's just say goodbye. Come here. Marin, Grace, come on.
I'll put down my cupcake.
1, 2. Oh, you're getting big. Okay. Look at my hat. Fix my hat. Okay. That's not fixed at all, but okay. All right. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Make sure you do your assignment on and look for another one. Boy, this is about to die in 2 seconds. All right. 29 minutes in. We're going to say goodbye on the count of 3. We're going to say goodbye. 1, 2, 3. No, no, on the count of 2. Ready? 1. No. 4. At 4. Okay. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Why do you guys say it? What?
Daddy.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 4, 5. Wait, I didn't say 3. 3.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
9, 8, 10.
All right. All right, everybody. We love you.
Bye,
We miss you. See you next time.
Bye, peeps.
Bye, peeps.
Bye, peeps.
Go push the button. The
Bye,
red one.
peeps.